Reading practice in B2 English level.
Hello, everyone. If you are sitting here today listening to these words, I imagine that each of us carries our own unique story. Some of you might be right in the middle of the storm, in those darkest days of a breakup, where even taking a simple breath feels heavy in your chest. Or perhaps you are like where I am today, standing far away from the wreckage, looking back and peacefully smiling at the scars that have finally healed. I am not standing here today to tell you a dramatic, tear-jerking love story, nor am I here to blame anyone or complain about the past. I am standing here as someone who is completely, truly healed after a major relationship ended. I walked through that dark tunnel. I was the person who thought I could never love again, but I found out that the light at the end of the tunnel is absolutely real. The healing process is not a straight line. It is a journey of picking up your own broken pieces and putting them back together to create a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Today, I want to share with you the deepest lessons I have gathered after the storm passed. 1. An ending is not a failure. When a relationship stops, our first reaction is usually to question ourselves. We ask, "What did I do wrong?" Or, "If only I had been more patient." Or, "Was I simply not good enough?" From a young age, society teaches us that everything must have a successful result. We are told that happily ever after is the only acceptable finish line. Because of this, we automatically think that breaking up means we failed. But, my friends, love is not a pass or fail exam. Some people walk into our lives only to travel with us for a certain distance. They bring the exact lessons we need to learn at that specific moment in our lives: how to love, how to be tolerant, or sometimes how to let go. Once the lesson is learned, their role in our story is complete. The fact that a relationship ends does not define your value as a person. It simply means one chapter has closed so you can turn the page to the next one.
Do not look at a breakup as a ruined building. Look at it as a cleared piece of land, ready for a new foundation to be built. 2. True love never asks you to lose yourself. Looking back at my past relationship, I realized there was a period where I slowly dropped the core pieces of my identity. I gave up my personal hobbies, spent less time with my close friends, and constantly changed my opinions just to fit perfectly into what my partner wanted. Back then, I called it compromise. I thought it was a sign of great, selfless love. I was wrong. When you have to cut away parts of yourself until it hurts just to fit into someone else's world, that is not love. That is a voluntary prison. A healthy, genuine relationship happens when two independent individuals stand side by side, supporting each other's growth, rather than one person dissolving into the other. The biggest lesson I learned here is this: your authentic self is your most valuable asset. If someone requires you to change your core values just to keep them around, the best choice you can make is to keep yourself and let them walk away. 3. Grief is a process to be respected, not avoided. After a breakup, we often receive the same advice from everyone around us. Just forget about it. Go out and have a drink, or find someone new. As human beings, we are terrified of emotional pain, so we try our best to ignore it. We bury ourselves in work, we go to loud parties, or we jump into short-term meaningless dates. But sadness is like a financial debt. The longer you avoid paying it, the higher the interest rate becomes. I used to pretend I was strong. I told everyone I was completely fine, until one day a sudden afternoon rain or a familiar song playing in a coffee shop made me break down completely. That was the moment I understood. The only way to get over the pain is to walk straight through it. Allow yourself to cry when the tears come. Allow yourself to stay in bed for a whole weekend just to feel the emptiness. Give yourself permission to be weak for a while. Healing is a lot like watching a time lapse of a construction project. At first, it is just breaking ground. It's messy, noisy, and it looks like you're tearing your whole life apart. But day by day, as you process those feelings, a new foundation is laid. Only when you face your loss bravely can you clear the debris and start building again. Number 4. We usually miss an illusion, not reality. One of the most dangerous traps we fall into after a breakup is the glorification of the past. When we feel lonely, our brain tricks us. It acts like a camera applying a beautiful cinematic filter to our memories. We only remember the golden hour moments, their warm smile, the comfortable hugs, the romantic promises. We mentally crop out the arguments, the cold silences, and the nights we cried ourselves to sleep. We punish ourselves because we think we lost someone absolutely perfect. Let's be honest with ourselves. If that relationship was truly as perfect as your memory suggests, you too would not be sitting in the positions of strangers today. When I finally sat down and wrote a list of the actual reasons we fought, the differences in our life goals, the times I felt completely alone even when they were sitting right next to me, I woke up from the dream. I realized I was crying for the potential of the relationship, not the reality of what it actually was in the end. Separating the expectation from the reality is the most effective medicine for a broken heart. 5. Forgiveness is a gift to yourself, not to them. Maybe you were betrayed. Maybe you were treated unfairly. Maybe the ending was full of lies and disrespect. Feeling angry and resentful is completely natural. I also held on to that anger for a long time, hoping that one day karma would punish them so I could feel satisfied. But do you know what happens? Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. They are out there living their life, perhaps smiling with someone new, while you are draining your own energy and health for someone who no longer deserves your time. Forgiveness does not mean you agree with how they treated you. It does not mean you have to forget, and it certainly does not mean you have to be friends with them. Forgiveness simply means you decide to untie yourself. You accept that the past happened, and you drop the heavy bag of anger so you can walk forward with lighter shoulders. And most importantly, you must forgive yourself for making mistakes, for trusting the wrong person, or for not walking away sooner. 6. The empty space is a canvas to redesign your life. After the dust settles, the scariest thing is not that you have no one to text goodnight to. The scariest thing is the massive empty space that suddenly appears in your daily routine and your mind. Instead of panicking and trying to fill that space with just anyone or anything, I learned to sit with the quietness. That empty space became the greatest opportunity of my life. I got to design my life from the ground up exactly how I wanted it. I realized I finally had the time to read the books I had bought but never opened. I had the energy to focus on my career. I could travel alone, decorate my living space my own way, and focus on my mental and physical health. Loneliness, when you change your perspective, is actually absolute freedom. You do not have to explain yourself to anyone. You do not have to wait for anyone, and you do not have to compromise. Do not rush to fill the empty space with a new partner. Fill it with a deep understanding of yourself. If there is one final thought I want to leave you with, especially for those who are feeling hopeless right now, it is this: time truly has the power to heal. but only if you cooperate with it. Every wound eventually turns into a scar, and every sharp pain eventually becomes a dull memory. Today, you might feel like the sky is falling, but I promise you one day in the future, you will walk down that old familiar street. You will hear that old song, and you will simply smile. Your heart will not hurt anymore. It will just beat with a quiet, steady peace. The breakup did not destroy me, it redesigned me. It transformed me from someone who depended on others for happiness into an independent person who knows exactly what she deserves. Be patient with yourself. Take it one small step at a time. The process of transforming is always painful, but a butterfly must break out of its dark cocoon to grow its wings and fly into the bright, open sky. Thank you for letting me share this journey with you. I wish all of you who are walking through the storm the strength to keep going until you find your own beautiful, peaceful sky on the other side.